what are the top 10 most important concepts that I believe someone must understand if they do want to live a world-class life? Now, again, if you want ordinary, none of this content is going to be for you. If you want extraordinary, I'm going to tell you what it really takes, and Kevin's going to, thank you, brother, going to chime in sort of as well.
I might not say a damn word this whole thing. I might just stand here like this with my hands in my pockets, just living the dream.
So,
hi, Taryn.
We got more people coming in. I love it. Okay. So the very first thing, I tried to title these intriguingly, if that's a word. Number 1, real happiness, John Lennon, and why we were jeffed from the start. Okay. So you've all heard that story about John Lennon, who the teacher gave him an assignment and said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And he was a little kid. And he said, I want to be happy. And the teacher said, you don't understand the assignment. And he said, no, you don't understand life. Now, we've all heard that story and we resonate with that story. And it's like, yes, okay, great. Here's the thing. I don't think we were ever really taught from our human condition standpoint how to actually achieve happiness. We create this story around what's going to make us happy, and then we finally get it and realize that that was not the answer. Kevin did that with making 6 figures. I did that with rising up in corporate America and all that stuff. So the very first thing is, what is real happiness? If we want to design a world-class life, we have to understand what we're really after. And so I think there's a framework called joy, pleasure, and fulfillment. So I think that these are the 3 things that actually encapsulate happiness. Hopefully you guys can all see that. So joy is when you're in the process of doing something that you enjoy. So right now in this moment, I am enjoying the process of this, okay? Pleasure is what a lot of people, I think, subconsciously think happiness is. Pleasure is result reliant. In other words, if this speech goes well, this training, this mastermind goes well, then I'll be happy. Pleasure is result reliant. If I eat this ice cream, then I'll get a dopamine hit and I'll be happy, but it's momentary, okay? The last one is fulfillment, and this is the piece that I think we were very much jeffed on by never understanding how to actually get it, okay? And when I say jeffed, by the way, it means effed. I just think it's more palatable, and there's a whole story around that. We say it on the podcast. So if your name is Jeff, I apologize. Okay. So joy is when you're in the process of doing something you enjoy. Pleasure is, if this goes well, then I'll be happy and I'll give myself pleasure, right? And then fulfillment only happens when you're growing toward your greatest self and when you're contributing beyond yourself. So right now, I talk a lot about lifestyle design and lifestyle integration. This moment right now, I'm doing something I enjoy. Hopefully it will go well and I'll give myself pleasure afterwards and it'll be pleasurable. But I'm also going to be fulfilled. Even if it doesn't go well and I don't get pleasure and I get pain because it doesn't go well, I'll still learn from that failure. Therefore, I'll grow into a better speaker. And when I grow into a better speaker, then I can help more people. So we say, oh, I just want to be happy, but we don't understand what we're actually talking about. And so if you want to design a world-class life, peak performance is understanding what you're really after, and this is the first framework. Number 2, okay? Thank you, brother. Anything?
This is easy.
Anything you want to?
No, I'm just gonna go along for the ride.
I like it.
We'll see.
Okay, number 2, the tripod of happiness, growing each leg and narrowing your circle of concern. So if you have happiness, which is what I just kind of described, not what we think it is, but what we now know it is. And I talk about a tripod, okay? The interesting thing about a tripod is that if one leg falls, they all fall. I believe there are 3 main facets of the human condition: health, wealth, love. Health is physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. PMES. Wealth is how you make your money. In other words, what are you doing to make your money? How much you actually make. And then I think the most important piece is what you do with it. So some people spend money on pleasurable things, but they don't help themselves grow and contribute at a deeper level. So where do you invest it? So how much money do you make? So how much? And then where? Where do you spend it? Where do you invest it? Okay? And then love. This is friends, family, intimate relationship, colleagues, clients, associates, mentees, mentors. Any relationship you have with another human being is your love section. I think the three most important ones are friends, family, and most importantly, your intimate relationship. If you're not happy in your intimate relationship, you're most likely not happy anywhere else. Okay, so friends. Yeah, right? Family, and then intimate relationship. And if you can't read any of this, I apologize in advance. Okay, so on the PDF that you guys all have in front of you, there's a question under each of these that I want you to ask yourself. Now, at the tail end of this training, based on your new awareness and your answers to these questions, we're going to give you a rating, or you're going to give yourself a rating, rather, from 0 to 10 on each of these. It's going to add up to, if you got a 10 out of 10 in all 10, you'd have 100%. So at the very end of this, you're going to understand from your own perspective, based on these new awareness, how well designed your life is from a world-class lens. So if you're at 50%, in other words, you got a 5 out of 5 in all 10, you're at a 50% world-class life. Now, the question becomes, how do we get from 50% to 100%? More percentage, more percentage, more percentage. And if I answered these questions live, I would not get a 10 out of 10 in every single one of them. And that's why I think the questions we ask ourselves is so important. Number 3, okay? So again, this is the happiness tripod. If your health falls, I know some people who are physically healthy but emotionally not. I know some people who are spiritually healthy but physically not. Okay? So if one of these falls, let's say you don't have your health, guess what? Doesn't matter how much money you have if you're in a hospital bed. If love falls and you have nobody else, but yet you're wealthy and you have your health, you're lonely, right? So again, happiness falls when any one of these 3 fall. And so when I said the tripod of happiness, growing each leg and narrowing your circle of concern, I want you to narrow your circle of concern to just these 3 things. Because we're majoring in minor things. We're chasing all these extremities. Like, oh, I want to go over here, do this, that, and the other thing. When in reality, the major things are falling, right? If your intimate relationship is on the fritz and you're off partying with a buddy, I would argue your priorities are off. Why aren't you having that tough conversation with your intimate partner before you go off and party and spend time with friends? So you have to have priorities. And so the noisy stuff tends to get our attention, but what really needs our attention is our own health, our own wealth, and our own love. Okay.
And if you guys were on the one where we did the system of success, creating your system of success, it's health, wealth, and love. That's what we always break it up into, because the things that you're doing every day are the things that you make progress in. So why not make it health, wealth, and love? Have your relationship check-ins. Make sure you're prospecting for your clients, going to the gym. And for me, always under health is self-love too. Like meditation, positive affirmations, all that jazz as well.
Strong work, brother.
Hey, man. Thank you.
And then 6 needs.
You're hammering.
Trying to. All right. So this up here is your true north. So this is the number 3, vision, the Jack Sparrow analogy, and why being misunderstood actually means that you're winning. I realized that I did this in advance. This is actually the 4th one, but that's okay. Okay. So vision, right? If you've seen Pirates of the Caribbean, there's that scene with Orlando Bloom and Jack Sparrow, and there's this big storm, and Orlando Bloom's talking to Mr. Gibbs, and Jack Sparrow's at the helm as the captain, steering, and Orlando Bloom is like, I don't understand. How are we supposed to find an island no one can find, that no one knows exists or where it is, with a compass that doesn't point north? And Mr. Gibbs says to him, the compass doesn't point north, but we're not trying to find north, are we? So that compass points to your heart's deepest desire. And later in the movie, Jack Sparrow ends up telling Orlando Bloom that your deepest desire isn't all silver and gold, because when he's holding the compass, it actually points to his love, which is Keira Knightley. He's never even seen the movie. Okay. So the point I'm making, though, is that your dream is in your heart. No one else, that's an island no one else knows exists. Only you know it exists. And so what is your intuition, your inner compass telling you? Where is it telling you to go? I often use the analogy of a puzzle. If Kevin and I are both going to do a puzzle, and it's a 1,000-piece puzzle, and I've seen the cover of what it's supposed to look like, and he hasn't, I'm going to be able to put the puzzle pieces down way more effectively, aka my daily actions, and then he's going to say, oh, it must be nice to finish a puzzle so fast. He's going to think I'm better at doing puzzles, when in reality, I just have a vision that he doesn't have. He's winging it. He has no idea what it's supposed to look like. And if you've ever done a puzzle, you know, imagine how hard it would be without looking at the front cover. I always have a vision of my physical health, my mental health, my emotional health, my financial future. And so my daily actions, what I do and don't do, say and don't say, think and don't think, feel and don't feel, are all predicated on something no one else can see yet. And so imagine you're going out, and this is the part about why being misunderstood is actually a barometer for success. I used to actually gauge how well I was doing based on how much closed-minded friends would make fun of me. And the reason is because I'm watering a plant no one else can see. And if they're arrogant and they believe that I should be doing what they believe I should be doing, I got all that nonsense of, oh, you're a bodybuilder now? Oh, you're a podcaster now? All that, right? And it was brutal for a really long time. But here's the interesting thing. No one questions those things anymore. They're not making fun of me now. We have a studio now. Now we're legit. But every episode, we saw this long before it became a real thing. So if you're out there right now and you have dreams, just imagine this. If Kevin's trying to change history and I'm trying to wake up and have fun, I'm going to think he's weird. Every action he does and doesn't take is going to be very different because he's doing something based on 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 40 years from now. And so I'm going to make fun of him because it's a spotlight shining down on the fact that I have bad habits. So the fact that you're getting made fun of if you're chasing your dreams is actually an indicator that you're on the right path, not the wrong one. Number one restaurant in the world, McDonald's. Number one drink in the world, Coca-Cola. If you're doing what's ordinary, you will never be extraordinary. If you're getting made fun of, it's because you're different and because you're on the extreme end of a bell curve. When the whole herd is going one way and you're walking another way, you're supposed to be different. And that's actually an indicator that you're winning and that you're on the right path. Okay. Number 4. How are we doing on time?
Oh, we got 15 minutes now.
Oh, we're hammering.
You're hammering.
Okay, cool. Nice. Anything you want to
No, we're
throw
good.
in there?
No,
Okay.
keep rolling. Keep rolling.
Number 4, the 4 types of people, the pyramid of fulfillment, and why alignment is everything. So the 4 types of people, and I mean this in no negative way whatsoever, but this is what I believe is the truth based on coaching, speaking, interviewing people. I've met thousands of people at this point, and I've always tried to study human beings. Hopefully that will be clear. There are 4 types of people that I've narrowed it down to. Number 1 has no system. They wake up in the morning and they wing it. They wake up in the morning and they say, what do I feel like doing today? Okay, there's no real rhyme or reason or system in place to exactly why they do and don't do what they should do. Or there's not enough why power underneath it. Okay, again, if Kevin wakes up trying to change history with a podcast, he's going to have very different decisions and choices than me if I wake up and wing it. Okay, so number 1, I would say about 95% of the population or so is people waking up and winging it. Arnold Schwarzenegger says you can have the best ship with the best captain in the world, but if he or she doesn't know where to go, you're going to drift around. And by the way, the world is very quick to tell you where you should drift. And by the way, most of those things are unsavory. All right, second type of person. Second type of person does have a system of success, does wake up with a plan, but it's not customized to their unique goals and their unique core values. So for me, back in early corporate America days, my mission was to be a Fortune 50 CEO. Steve Jobs was my hero back then. I read his book by Walter Isaacson's book, the biography on him, and I got really inspired by the industries that he changed. Now, I don't necessarily think he's a great guy for many character trait reasons, but I did like what he did in the world. Okay? So I had a mission. I had a goal, Fortune 50 CEO. I wasn't clear on my core values. Here's the problem. If I'm not clear on my core values and I want to be a Fortune 50 CEO, it doesn't matter how I get there. I'll give you an example. Let's say you want to get straight A's in high school, but you're not clear on your core values, your morals, your ethics. You might cheat on a government test, get a 100 when everyone else got a 70 because you had the test the night before, and then get praised for something that you didn't actually do. This is a really difficult moment for me. I cheated on a government test, got a 100. The next closest grade was a 75, and the teacher praised me in front of everybody. And I knew I cheated, and it really hurt. Okay? I was clear on my goal, straight A's. Didn't matter how I got there because I didn't have clear core values. Now, in my defense, I was 17, and no one taught us anything about this, right? So it is what it is. That doesn't make it right. But my point is you need to be crystal clear on your mission and your core values. Your core values will keep you grounded today, Your mission will keep you looking toward a brighter future. I've noticed most people are either very clear on this or very clear on this. You've heard me talk about PMES, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. If you're an M, you tend to have bigger ego and you're most likely focused more on your goals. That was me. If you're E, you most likely care more about the present and are very clear on your morals and core values. And you most likely don't like people who are only focused on results. The truth is we all need both. No one's wrong, but we're all righty or lefty. And if you're bad at goals, get around someone good at goals. Okay? And maybe help them develop their core values. That's what Kevin did for me. Okay? If you're really good at goals, but you're not clear on your core values, get around someone who's got focused on their character. Okay? And that's what Kevin, again, did for me. All right.
Just to add to this quickly, Alan and I have coached a lot of people. We've talked to a lot of people. We've interviewed a lot of people. A common theme is people want the results without the mission. Again, like the only reason we have a podcast studio is because this is literally a stop on the way. Like this isn't the reason we're doing this. The reason we're doing this is to change the world. So if you want to be better in fitness, you have to set a goal that is further than just good at fitness, right? I wanted to be good at fitness when I was 16. Now I want to be jacked when I'm 50. But that's what I'm shooting for, right? I want to be a billionaire. I want to have a net worth of $1 billion. What that's going to take of me is far different than if I said I wanted to be rich. So get crystal clear when it comes to what you actually want and realize that you're usually going to have to shoot way past what you actually believe from the beginning.
This is one pit stop on the way. So like, I want to make sure this lands because I know that this is a really difficult concept, but it's so, so important. Kevin and I, a lot of people want to look good on the beach, right? Okay. We all do, of course. When you're at the beach, it's a lot of feedback. The sun shows everything. We all want to be strong, fit, and healthy and on the beach. Okay. Here's the thing. Kevin and I don't even go to the beach. Why do I say that? It's not because we don't like the beach, but we're in the gym. Being in shape on the beach is a byproduct of fitness mastery. My goal was never to look good on the beach. My goal was to be the greatest natural aesthetic men's physique fitness model on the planet. I'm not even close, guys, but this is a pit stop along the way. We're seeing a snapshot in time. In a decade from now, mark my words, this will look like nothing. It's nothing. It's not egotistical. I'm not doing this for anyone else. I'm doing this because I want to be great. I want to be good. I love this, okay? But you're seeing right now, you're not seeing that this is just one moment toward a greater vision. And that's the thing that I really want to get clear. Most people who don't have this look at other people. One of my main mentors was the CEO of several tech companies, big ones. And he bought an $80,000 Mercedes, and he doesn't even care about cars, guys. And I remember him showing me the car, and I found it so fascinating. His goal was to have what he referred to as FU money, which is full freedom. He told me that from the time he was 18 years old, his parents had no money. He was from Germany. And back when he came to this country, he basically was discriminated a lot because of World War II and all that, and his parents came from nothing. And his goal was to have FU money, which means freedom. I can pay for it. No one can tell me what to do. That Mercedes that he bought at 50, however old he is a byproduct of that old goal. His decision, I'm going to be financially free no matter what, and I'm going to have tons more money than I need, that started him on a trajectory. And if you look at his resume, which I've studied, it's very clear that every decision he made and didn't make was very clearly about that one motivation. So you have to understand, remember, my Fortune 50 CEO goal changed a lot of my decision-making paradigm. Now I have a very different goal. Therefore, my decisions and my life is very different. Who I allow into my life is very different. Okay, so whatever your true north is, you guys have seen this around my neck. I have a purpose prayer. And it's just a letter from your highest self to your human self. Right now, your human self is human. It has emotions. It has mental stimulation. It has weaknesses. It maybe on some level you want to eat a Big Mac right now. That's the example I give. My human self wants a Big Mac and fries and a large Coke, okay? My spiritual self, my highest self, knows that's not what's best for me. There's something inside of you that wants to grow. The reason why you're here right now is because something inside of you wants to grow. You want to get better. You want to improve, and you want to contribute beyond yourself. Okay. Mission, core values, the PMES system, and the 6 human needs. Now that we were doing well on time, now I'm concerned, but that's all right.
We're not doing well on time anymore?
No, I think we're still doing
You want me to do a little dance while you play the board?
So, do you want to go through the 6 human needs?
You want me to go through the 6? Wow.
I think he knows how to do it.
Okay, so the 6 basic human needs, the one and only Tony Robbins, I don't know if he created these, but he aligned them for us to package so nicely and give to you guys. So you have love and connection, certainty, variety, significance, growth, and contribution. I believe he says the first 4. So significance, love and connection, variety, and certainty are the needs of the body. Is that true?
Human.
Body? Human.
Yeah.
And then the growth and contribution are the needs of the soul and the spirit. Most people do not have growth and contribution. So a lot of people say, like, Kevin, why are you so happy all the time? Number one, I'm not. I'm not always happy. I am most of the time. I am filled with growth and contribution. My job is to grow and contribute as much as I can. This is contribution for Alan and myself, right? We're releasing 5 episodes a week. We're getting thousands and thousands of downloads. That is contribution. I have one-on-one clients that I coach. Contribution, right? So that is so high for Alan and myself that it seems like we're in good moods all the time because we're always doing something that we love.
Okay. Strong work.
Yeah, thanks.
Strong work. Absolutely.
Appreciate
All right. So these are the 6 human needs. If you have not watched Tony Robbins' TED Talk, I highly recommend it. Best TED Talk of all time, in my opinion.
It's a little better than what I just did.
Slightly better.
Slightly better.
Slightly better. He's a fairly better speaker. Okay. So, although you're getting there.
Appreciate it. Thanks again.
Of course, brother. So certainty and security, uncertainty/variety, love and connection, significance, growth, and contribution. Again, the needs of the human, these are the ones we all find a way to meet. And again, this is Tony's words, not mine. You can smoke, drink, pleasure seek, whatever, and you can find a way to meet these, okay? But these are the ones of fulfillment that we don't tend to meet, growth and contribution. My goal in life is self-transcendence and self-actualization. What do I mean by that? Okay? Self-actualization is growth. In other words, who must I become in order to actualize into my life that which I want? So, for example, I want to be a millionaire. I intend to be a millionaire. Okay? Who must I become in order to have that level of contribution, and what must I master in order to do that? Mastering speaking, for example, would be one craft. So my question to you, if you want to live a peak performing world-class life, how much are you allowing the human needs, certainty and security, uncertainty, variety, love and connection, significance, to stop you from growth and contribution? And so let me give you an example. So Kevin and myself have intimate relationships where we do a check-in every single week. I guess you and Taryn have.
Taryn and I have been jeffing a little bit. I take full responsibility for that.
And so I was on a check-in with Emilia last night, and we have these 6 that we go through. We rate ourselves from 0 to 10 on how much. So for example, certainty and security. How certain and secure do you feel in our relationship? Let's say she gave me a 9. What are 3 reasons why I got a 9? Good things. And then what's 1 improvement? Okay, and we do that for each, and then the last one is sex. And we do that every single week. So we make sure 52 weeks a year we're checking in with how we're doing. And if you saw us out in public, you'd say, oh my God, they're so connected, they're so in love, they're so happy. True, but you're not seeing the 2-hour conversation I had last night where, I ask her if there's anything outside of alignment, and we have to get vulnerable and talk, right? Now, it was an awesome check-in. Honestly, most of them are. But our focus in our relationship is on growth. And I'll tell you this, if you're in an intimate relationship that is not focused on growth and contribution, I would argue that that's going to be very hard for you if you're really growth oriented and your partner's not. I made the mistake of having non-growth oriented partners in my past, and I'm realizing a common denominator that whether it's friends or intimate partners, if you weren't into personal growth and didn't have big goals and ambitions, it didn't end up working. And now I'm very clear on that. So again, that pyramid I showed you guys, the persons, places, things, and ideas you allow into your life need to be aligned with your core values and with your goals. And if they're not, that's okay. Why not? Do I still want to allow this into my life? All right, next one. Temet Noske.
My favorite.
Right.
My favorite.
Temet Noske, your specific PMES code and understanding the needs you're really after. So again, these are the needs you're really after. The question becomes, which of them are running you? Okay, when I was in high school, I felt very insignificant. I felt like athletes like Kevin were so lucky. They got all the girls and were jacked and all that kind of stuff. And I was kind of nerdy, okay? And I was significance driven. I just wanted to feel significant, and I wanted to be valued. I got bullied a little bit and all that stuff, okay? I believed that being ridiculously intelligent would make me more significant. And it actually ended up doing that eventually, but I was after the wrong thing. But again, I was never taught this, right? I wasn't focused on trying to grow and become a better person and how to contribute with that growth to the world in a fulfilling way, in a congruent way. Instead, I just wanted to be significant. Okay, so which of these needs are driving you? If you are, again, we have the PMES system: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Now, I think that most people's codes are M or E first. And I say that some people are very results driven. Other people are very process driven, very experience driven. So for example, Emilia and I go to hike Wachusett Mountain 2 weekends ago. I don't care which path we take. I'm there for the workout. I'm there for, I basically, we were at the bottom and she's like, well, which path should we take? And I just want to pick one and go, right? But I understand that she wants to enjoy the process of the climb. I just see top and I say, go, figure it out. Now, I want to have a fun, unique experience with her. She's more experience driven than I am. I'm more results driven than she is. We both have both, but we all have a priority. When you go into a coffee shop, when you go into a restaurant, okay, and you order food, are you wondering how that food is going to taste, the experience of it? Or are you wondering what's going to get you closer to your fitness goals? I'm results driven. I still want the food to taste good, but I don't need it to. Some people want the food to taste good, and then if it meets their fitness goals, that's great. My must is the fitness goals. That if it tastes good, that's great. Okay, so figure out if you're experience driven, that's great. You tend to be an emotional person first, emotions first. If you're results driven, that's great. What you need to understand is the value of the other side. Kevin is more experience driven than I am. I'm more results driven than he is. So I can help him get bigger results, and he can help me have better experiences. So the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. The problem is we're unattracted to the people that aren't like us because we think we're right, and there is no right, which is just nonsense. Especially now in the world, everyone thinks they're right when really no one is. It's just a different perspective, right? And so again, this training, by the way, if it's uncomfortable for you, this is a very results-driven training. If you don't want huge results, this is very uncomfortable. And these are mirrors you're not going to want to look in. But if you are super results-driven, you're sitting there like, yeah, let's do this. Here's what I'll tell you. If you're uncomfortable, it's okay. Sit in it, and you'll get better. Because I needed to get better at the core values side and the experience side and the emotional intelligence side, like Kevin. Kevin needed to get better at the success side, okay? And that's what we do. We drive to 5 together. Okay. And like if you noticed last week, if you were there, cultivating confidence, that was working on the inside, the inner game. A lot of this is working on the outer game. So we have extrinsic and intrinsic. Okay. So number 6, and Temet Noske, by the way, means know thyself. Okay. So you want to know your code. For me, I'm MPES. Kevin is EPMS. Okay, so we connect on both taking action. P is physical. We're good at taking action. I'm very good at long-term strategy. Kevin's really good at the now, getting things done in the now, the present, the process. He wants the tactics. Okay, what do we have to do now? He was gone with Taryn this past weekend, and we had a team meeting, and he's like, hey, how did things go with the line items we had to get done? I was like, we didn't end up doing them, but we did grow long-term as leaders, right?
If you want to sell me something, just give me something that says 5 ways to do it. I'll buy it, guaranteed. Right. I give me the tactics. I'll do the rest. I love it.
So what is your code? And here's what I will tell you, because I want to illuminate something for you. If you're EM or ME, you're living in what I refer to as civil war. And it's not a power code. What do I mean by that? How much, when you wake up in the morning, how much of what you feel like doing is different than what you know you should do? And I hope that resonated for people. Most of us are in a civil war. What we feel like doing is very different than what we know we should do. Okay? If you're an ME or an EM, you're in inner civil war most of the time. You haven't picked a lane. In other words, for me, I do what I don't feel like doing because I know it'll get me closer to my goals, even though it's going to suck, because I chose M consciously. Okay, maybe that doesn't resonate with you, and that's okay. Maybe you choose in advance a life. Again, this is lifestyle design. Maybe you don't want to be a billionaire. Being a billionaire is going to change your life drastically. Most billionaires don't take a single day off for their entire 20s and 30s. I'm okay with that. I actually want that. That might not be for you though, right? Okay. You got to figure out what's fulfilling for you. Number 6, Pareto's principle, the leverage curve, and why exponential thinking changes everything. You know, originally I wrote everything.
Everything. This is the math one, so I'm just going to exit stage right on this one.
All right. So again, I just want to reiterate, this is about success. And I'm big into the math, but I want to make sure everyone knows how to leverage their time better. So Pareto's principle, there's a guy, I don't know if it's Alfredo Pareto or if that just sounds good, but he was a scientist in the early 1900s or late 1800s. I'm not 100% sure.
He was alive once.
He was alive once at one point. He had pea pods. And what he found out is that 20% of the pea pods produced 80% of the peas. And so some good examples of this, and this is like a law. This is like gravity. It shows up everywhere. Everyone out there right now wears 20% of their clothes about 80% of the time. 20% of this country drinks 80% of the beer. 20% of this country has 80% of the wealth. Okay, this shows up everywhere. I always say life is about getting on the right side of 80-20. You don't want to be on the side of the 20% that drinks 80% of the beer. That's not where you want to be, especially if you want a world-class life. I've been there. I was on the wrong side of 80-20. Okay? So if you have 20% of your current, here's what I'll use fitness as an example. 20% of your current actions are actually responsible for 80% of your results. I always tell a story. My ex-girlfriend asked me about L-glutamine, and I said, honestly, sweetheart, until you're sleeping enough, hydrating enough, training every day, tracking your calories, and doing mobility, L-glutamine does not matter. The fitness industry is telling you all this stuff that doesn't matter until you're doing the fundamentals. You can't sell sleep, hydration, nutrition, training, mobility. Those are all common, but common knowledge is not common practice. And so to me, those are the 20% of things that make the biggest difference. If you double down there, narrow your circle of concern to there, you'll get way more results. And then other people will say, must be nice. They don't know that you're just more focused. Okay? All right, so 20% of your inputs are responsible for 80% of your results. When I learned this, this blew my mind. If you take 20% of 20%, you get 4%. Okay, so 20 to 80 is a 1 to 4 ROI. So for one action, you get 4 times the return. Okay? Use your intimate relationship in this one. The 5 love languages. Physical touch. If Emilia gives me physical touch, she gets 4 times I get 4 times the love from one action. Okay? What if you take 20% of 20%, you get 4%? Okay? This is 1/4 times 1/4. So now you get 1/16 ROI. So now one input is 16 times more valuable. I've been in intimate relationships where I was putting massive effort towards things that didn't matter and wondering why I was losing. Fitness is a great thing. People always come to me and they say, I'm not motivated in fitness. No one's motivated when nothing's working. If you've lost in fitness for 10 years and you're like, I'm just not motivated. No one's motivated when nothing they do works. You just have the wrong strategy or you're not consistent enough. Okay. What if you take 20% of 4%? You get 0.8%. So Kevin and I are trying to figure out what is the 0.8% of daily actions that each of us can do to have a bigger impact in the world. Our 0.8% was earlier today. If the podcast episodes are fire and engaging and funny and valuable, everything else in our business runs really smoothly. We should not be chasing opportunities out there when the podcast is not winning. So in your life, if you want a world-class life, you got to figure out what is my 0.8%, which by the way, 1/16 times 1/4 is 1/64. This is leverage. Okay? Imagine if you narrowed your circle of concern to only the 0.8% of things that actually make a big difference. In fitness, I can tell you the 3. Step on the scale every single day. See if it's going up or down consistently. Don't let daily fluctuations bother you. Number 2, track your caloric intake every day. If you want to be in a surplus, eat more than you burn. If you want to be in a deficit, eat less than you burn. Okay? whether you want to build muscle or lose weight. Don't try to lose weight and build muscle. Big mistake. And then the third thing is train every day. Weight training, I think, is the most important one by far, because muscle mass is like an investment account. Cardio is kind of like a savings account. I'm not going to go into this, but you got to understand, if you're not doing those three, you're almost always playing a losing game. Imagine trying to get wealthy without looking at your bank account. People are trying to get in shape without tracking their calories. It's crazy to me. If they just did that one habit and did it every day, they'd be leagues ahead of everybody else. Kevin's been doing that since he was 16.
Yeah, I've been doing it for 14 years.
And then you'd see him eating a hamburger and thinking, oh, I can't be like Kevin. No, you can. You just have to do what he did for 16 years. But that doesn't sell good infomercials, right? That doesn't sell products. Hey, do what Kevin did for 16 years and then you'll be jacked. That's not how marketing works, right? But that's the truth of the matter.
Okay. And the thing I was doing this long before I had results too. I think that's the thing. Like, we're talking about doing the stuff that's important. The problem is you're not going to see results right away anyway, right? I could tell you to track. I want you to track your calories, weigh yourself, and work out 7 days in a row. The fluctuation in your weight isn't going to change that much in 7 days. It just isn't. That's not the way it works. That's not the way weight loss happens. It's like that with everything. I've had people say, like, how many episodes do I have to do of the podcast before I become successful? Just keep going. Like, you'll know when you get there. There is no number. There is no number of listens. There is no number of episodes or subscribers. It depends on your business. It depends on so many things. But consistency is king. / queen, if you're a woman.
Fire distinction on that. Okay, so this is the leverage curve. Okay? When you see someone who's uber successful, and again, we're talking about just success here today. Okay? When you see someone who's uber successful, it's because when they have 100 tasks to do in a day, imagine all these tick marks are tasks, okay? Here's the truth of the matter, and I hope this resonates with everybody. The ones that get the biggest return are the scariest. Scary. I was nervous today about this, right? So you know what gets your attention, though, is the noisy stuff. Somebody texts you and asks you to go to lunch. Yeah, I'll do that. 4.5 hours gone. When I'm sitting there doing something that sucks, that's scary, okay? How much of your time is being spent on the noisy stuff when the really important stuff is not getting done? The only reason we talk about 400 episodes, guys, has nothing to do with us. It's because we want you to understand the fact that who does 400 things before they quit? You know how long we weren't successful? We're still nowhere near where we should be or want to be. But we hung in there, and we kept doing the hard stuff. This is Kevin's superpower, in my opinion. He doesn't let this stuff distract him from the hard stuff.
Thank you, man.
No, I mean that. Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Something I gauge a lot of, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but like, if I text you and you get right back to me and you're not on the team, in my mind, you're jeffing. You should not be texting me back right away. You should be doing a higher leverage task. You just should. Like, I get that a lot. Somebody will Snapchat me and I'll get back to them 3 days later because I don't use Snapchat. And before my message even sends, they message me back. I already know you're off in the cloud somewhere. I'm not. I'm uploading an episode. I'm editing an episode. I'm doing recordings. Like, I'm on the phone with a client. Understand that. Like what Alan just said, the most important things that you should be doing every day, let the other stuff fall a little bit. You'll catch up to it. When
I did this training, guys, the PDF you're looking at, that was me sitting down for an hour and a half by myself with peaceful piano in the background and earplugs in, because I know I'm going to give this training hundreds of times. And this is an amalgamation of everything I've learned for such a long time. You know how many people I could have been responding to on texts, how many things I could have been checking on Facebook, how many interruptions I could have allowed? Guys, the hard and necessary stuff, this is the reason why most people don't have a book. Writing a book is you alone, by yourself, writing a book. No one likes that. Ask the authors. No one likes it. I'm jeffing by not writing my book because it sucks. But we don't talk about that. This phone right here is the reason why you're not more successful than you want to be. The fact that everyone else is, if I text you, okay, and you respond to me, that is my solicitation on your attention. Now, hopefully it's a valuable thing that you think is valuable, but I want you to get to it when you get to it, after you do your important stuff. And that wasn't part of the training, but so important. All right, number 7. How are we doing on time? We're killing it. Okay.
17 minutes.
Number 7, 17 minutes. Your only real assets, 3-dimensional thinking about time, and Warren Buffett's snowball. Okay, so I'm going to use Kevin as an example.
Oh, sure.
So this is going to be a snowball right here. We'll call it a wheel. So Warren Buffett has a simple quote. He says, the key to life is to find your snowball and roll it down a really long hill. This is why Einstein called compound interest the 8th wonder of the world. Okay? Now, Kevin's right here is the podcast center. Okay? Everything else in his life, nothing. Okay. The only reason why Kevin has never missed uploading an episode is because it's his main thing. So he doesn't let anything else get in the way of that. I tell the story about how we were in the airport editing an episode with Anthony Trucks because his internet kept going out, and we literally would have missed the plane before we didn't hit. That level of commitment is the only reason why we have the privilege to be in front of you right now. Okay? The podcast, nothing else matters unless the podcast is a rolling, and it won't ever stop because that's what keeps the wheel going. All right? Everything else is relevant to that, though. Speaking. Again, this is Kevin's life. Speaking helps him be a better podcaster. Coaching. He didn't even know I was going to do this, by the way. Coaching makes him a better podcaster.
I should be used to it by now.
Podcast consulting makes him a better podcaster. Okay? Everything in his life is designed around his one thing. I'm going to name 5 people right now. Meryl Streep, who hopefully you all know the name. Meryl Streep, Eminem, Tony Robbins, Michael Phelps, Serena Williams. All of them got ridiculously good at one thing. And all of us know their name. Eminem got really good at rap. Warren Buffett got really good at investing. Meryl Streep got really good at acting. Serena Williams got really good at tennis. What's the other one I said?
I don't know, Michael Phelps.
Michael Phelps got really good at swimming. Guys, what's your one thing? If you know Kevin's name, it's only because he got really good at this. And I know this sounds harsh, but it's true. The work matters more in the marketplace than the person. I remember I saw Jay Shetty reaching out to James Clear. James Clear wrote Atomic Habits, and Jay Shetty was like, hey, can you come on my podcast? I said, Kevin, how do we get it so Jay Shetty's trying to get us on his show? I said, I got to write my book, man. James Clear's book is life-changing. The only reason I know James Clear's name is because his book changed my life. The work you do in the world is bigger than you when it comes to business and the marketplace. We say character over everything, and I agree. In your personal life and fulfillment, character is more important. Okay? But the reason you know Eminem's name is because he got good at rap, not because he's a good person. I'm not saying he's a bad person, but you understand my point. You need to understand marketplace and business knows you for your work, not who you are. Your fulfillment and your intimate relationship and your friends and family know you for who you really are. Integrate them. Cool? All right. Fired up.
Fired up.
3-dimensional thinking and your only real assets. Okay. So the only 3 assets that you actually have in your life are the following 3. I'm going to write them in big letters. Time, money, energy. Where are you spending these 3? The biggest tell-all for whether or not someone's going to be successful, in my opinion, is where they're spending this. If I saw your calendar and I saw where you spend your time, that's where what you really value. People say like, yeah, I have a core value of personal development. Okay. How much money have you spent on books? How many times did you put in your calendar a hyperconscious mastermind?
Free plug.
Right? Free plug. Yeah, right. But like seriously, how much time, energy, and money are you putting into that thing that you claim to be good at or that you claim to care about? Fitness, for example, I'm grateful for my health, but you never go to the gym. You drink every weekend. And again, I'm guilty of that. I used to say I care about my health. Yeah, I'm grateful for my health. No. I was poisoning my mind. I was poisoning my body. I did not have good habits. I wasn't a bad person. I had bad habits. So time, energy, and money, where are you spending these? And is it optimized? Last thing I'll say about three-dimensional thinking, some people spend time, some people invest time, other people multiply time. The best example I can give you for multiplying time is I'm going to write a book on peak performance and how to live a world-class life on this exact thing. And when I do that, I'm going to be sitting alone, hammering that out, right? And it's going to be a struggle. Just thinking about it makes me like cringe a little. Okay? But while I could be out having fun with my friends, while I could be doing this, that, or the other thing, I'm multiplying time because that book will follow me forever. What's the work that you can do in the world that will follow you forever? Primary, passive, and active value. What's your passive value? The 400 episodes we have up in the digital world will always be there. So that's how you multiply time. Even right now, this is being repurposed as a podcast episode because we think three-dimensionally. We don't just spend time. We multiply it. Cool? All right. Next.
10 minutes.
11 minutes. My goodness. 10 minutes. Yeah, technically. All right. Number 8, systems thinking, why tracking will change your life, and how Bianca's story to herself beat Jeff. And I was hoping Bianca would be on here. So she gave me permission to say this, by the way. Okay. Systems thinking is very simple. I've done this before, so maybe some of you have seen it. So imagine this is your system of success. This is your inputs, which is your daily behaviors. This is your outputs. This is where you measure. And then this is where you adjust. Okay. I want you to fall in love with cause and effect. If you drink a ton of water and then you have to pee, that makes sense. Weird analogy, but I want you to fall in love with cause and effect. People are way too focused on the fruit, the outputs. I want a six-pack, right? Who doesn't want a six-pack, by the way, right? Okay, don't focus on the six-pack. Focus on the behaviors, the inputs that create a six-pack. Okay, so this is the fruit, the shiny stuff, the nice car and the clothes and all that nonsense, right? This is what matters. Fall in love with the root or you'll never have the fruit. So my mentor who has that $80,000 Mercedes that he bought just because he felt like buying one, even though he doesn't care about cars, right? That is the output other people think they want. The root is financial mastery. What if you fell in love with financial mastery? Can you imagine what your life would be like if you really fell in love with financial mastery? The cars are a byproduct. Okay? I like mastery more than the shiny stuff, honestly. I love the process of mastery. Maybe I'm weird. I am weird. But that if you want this stuff, you have to want the mastery. Okay? Now, inputs, outputs, measure it, and then you adjust. Okay, so let's say you want to lose weight. You want to lose 10 pounds. Okay, so you look at the input and say, okay, I want to lose 10 pounds. I burn 2,000 calories in a day. I'm going to only eat 1,500. That's a 500 calorie deficit. Okay, now I'm losing weight. Measure, step on the scale. Every day, see if it's going down. Okay, it's going down. Good, good, good. Okay, I don't have to adjust anything. Everything's working. Everything's working. Now you eventually step on the scale. It's like, oh, the scale's not moving anymore. Okay, my metabolic set point's now lower. Now what do? Maybe I eat a little bit less. Maybe I train a little bit more. See, here's the problem though. Systems thinking doesn't work if you can't be consistent. How do you know what to measure and what to adjust if you can't do it consistently? Every single episode, Kevin and I go back to the drawing board and say, what would we do differently if we could go back? And that's why they keep getting better.
Hopefully,
right? And we keep making old mistakes and then we're like, oh yeah, we forgot that sucks, right? This mic I have right now, like, look at that. That's brutal. No. Right? That's because we haven't figured out this thing yet.
But it's better than the one that we did originally with these mics. We switched up the mics. So we're always making some form of improvement.
Exactly. So fall in love with the behaviors that are required of you to get the output you want. You want a magnificent relationship? What are the behaviors in your own personal growth that would attract a magnificent partner? Instead of focusing on the shiny stuff of like, let me talk to that person and see if I can get on a date with them, why not just work on yourself and attract that person? Cool? All right.
Hammer it.
Hammer in.
7.5.
7.5. Whew. This is heavy stuff, man. I forgot how heavy this was. All right. Oh, Bianca's story. Be Jeffin. Okay, so Bianca's a client. I know you all know that. We do data-driven decision-making. So we have what I refer to as PPT, which is a spreadsheet. Every one of my clients has a full spreadsheet of peak performance tracking. They all have a daily system of success of the top leverage points based on their unique goals and core values. And we track it. Okay, so I had like a 64.8% day today or whatever. Okay, something like that. Then I do a behavioral analysis. So every time I get on the phone with a client, I remember this call with B right before I crunched her numbers. Okay, when was the last time we talked? Okay, let me see how well she's done. So I summate each line item and see how well she's doing. I can see where she's jeffing and I can see where she's killing it. And I remember asking her, I said, how's fitness going? And this was before the gyms opened back up, in her defense. She's like, really, really good. I've been really consistent. I said, well, according to your spreadsheet, you're 53% of the time. Her story, okay, here's what I will tell you about the human condition. We BS ourselves so hard. Okay, she told herself a story. She's been consistent when she's only working out every other day. I know Bianca's standards. Her standards in the gym are much higher than every other day. Okay, so remember, this is unique to her. I'm not making her feel bad. She's told me I could say this story. The point is this. We tell ourselves, yeah, no, I'm doing really good in my finances. My spending is fire. You don't look, and then you look at your bank account and you're like, oh God, I spent $250 on that? Did I even have fun? Right? You gotta look at your numbers. We tell ourselves a story to avoid pain. It's human nature. Numbers never lie. Track your habits. You will be in for a wake-up call. Trust me, I'm in for a wake-up call every day. You are not as good as you thought you were. We all think we were great yesterday. We all think we'll be better tomorrow. Track your numbers. John Maxwell says, fall out of love with good intentions. It's another thing I want to say real quickly. He said, good intentions are useless unless they lead to good actions. Track your habits. Okay. 9 and 10, 5 minutes, coming in hot here. Okay, breadth versus depth. So everyone in here hopefully wants to have a bigger impact in the world and be a more fulfilled, grown-up version of themselves. Okay, breadth versus depth. So here's breadth, and here's depth. What do I mean by this? Okay, your impact is actually the area under this curve. Okay, so there's some people who have a small impact on a ton of people. If you've ever heard an Eminem song, he had a small impact on your life, but he's done it with billions of people. Okay? Hopefully, Kevin has had a huge impact with much less people than Eminem. Okay? So what you want to do is maximize the breadth and the depth of the impact that you can have in the world. Maybe you have a close friend who you saved their life. That's a huge amount of depth, but only one person. That's not a bad thing. Because remember, that person can go change millions of lives. Okay? My goal is only to get you to understand breadth versus depth. Maybe some of you are too far on the depth. Maybe you spend too much time impacting 5 people when you could be impacting thousands. Maybe some of you are spending too much time scale when you should be focused on your intimate relationship or your close friends. Okay, lately I would say I'm in that arena. I got to call my buddy Nate. Okay? All right. Next, cranking on through. Okay, growth and contribution. Okay. So here we go. Hello. On this scale, we've got growth. On this scale, yeah, contribution. Actually, this is time. Jeff, man. Because I'm against the clock, man. I'm telling you. Okay. We want to think exponentially, by the way, not linearly. Real quick, if you double a penny every day for 31 days, it equals $10 million. But after the 10th day, it's only like $10. Okay? We need to understand exponentials. You going to the gym every day for 10 years is a completely different human than who you are right now. The problem is we don't understand the implications of our inaction. Okay, so think in exponentials, not in linear. Most people live a linear life. I want you to live an exponential life. Okay, so imagine Abraham Lincoln says, if you give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, I'm going to spend 4 of it sharpening the axe. Most of my time is spent getting better, trying to get better, so that hopefully when I do have an opportunity like this, I can really crush it. Versus someone who wants opportunities like this, but they never practice their craft, right? Okay. So growth is on this end, time is on this end, your contribution is actually underneath it. Let me give you an example. Imagine if you focus on your own personal growth in your own craft. Tiff is an awesome website designer. If any of you need a website, go to Tiff.
Free plug?
Free, absolutely. She did our website. She's awesome. Okay. She focused on her own personal growth in that arena. Now she serves the world with it. The more she gets better at web design, the more people she can help. The area under the curve is contribution. So if you're out there right now and you're emotionally driven and contribution driven, understand that your own personal growth is not selfish. It's the most selfless thing you can do. So when you're in the gym taking time for you, when you're meditating, taking time for you, and your friends are sitting there saying, why can't you hang out with me anymore? It's because I'm going to change the world. It's because I'm doing my sacred mission. And they're going to hate you for it. That's okay. They don't understand. Okay? Last thing here. Brian Tracy's continuous improvement formula. If you improve by 0.1% every weekday for the next decade, Brian Tracy figured out that that compounds to 26% year over year, which compounds to 1,000%. So I often ask my clients, one of the very first questions I ask is if you could rub a lamp and a genie popped out and you could be the best in the world at any three things, what would they be and why? If you don't know your answer to that, I would argue that you don't know what the skill is. You don't know your one thing. Okay? You can get good at some stuff, but try to be world class at one thing. See, we try to be great at everything. We end up mediocre at everything. We never get world class at anything. Michael Phelps wants to play basketball 3 days a week. He's not Michael Phelps. Right? I'm not saying you can't play basketball. Maybe you don't want to be an Olympian. But there's some part of you that has Michael Jordan level talent that I want to unleash. Help unleash. Thank you, Amber. Great point. That means it landed. Yay. So excited. Okay, last one. 20 seconds. Behavior change over everything. Looking your jeffings in the eye and why pain is actually serving you. Here's what I'll tell you. Pain is serving you. So let's say this is pain. And we've all had that friend that just complains for the sake of complaining. Here's what Kevin and I, Tiff and Amy have kind of come to realize. When we're complaining, what we're really doing is focusing on something that needs to change. And there's two things you can do. You can either change your perception or you can change your behavior. Okay, so someone who complains just to complain is very different than someone who's talking about a problem so they can eventually solve it. Okay, so imagine that thing in your life right now that is causing you pain. Put your awareness on it. Feel the pain. Guess what? The pain gets amplified, and when the pain is great enough, you might actually change your behavior. Alcohol is a good example. I used to drink when I go to weddings. The next day, I would wake up hungover and say, I'm never drinking again. But by the time the next wedding came, I had forgotten how painful that was, and I told myself a story. Yeah, but I had so much fun. I took a selfie with everybody, right? Instead of changing my behavior, I just changed my perception and told myself a new story. I'll go to the gym tomorrow. I'll quit drinking next time. Honestly, and I mean this with love, and this is what we'll end with. If you want to live a world-class life, self-discipline is the way. You got to get better at changing your behavior. I think we're really good at changing our story and our perception. Very few people I know are good at changing this, and it's very hard. I struggle with this. It took me 5 years to quit drinking, guys. Okay? It's very hard. Pain is serving you. Figure out where there's pain and use it to change. And that's everything I've got for you.
Strong work. Right on schedule. Strong. Do you want to say the goodbye since you hammered it?
You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Hopefully those questions will help you. My goal was only to raise your awareness of what I've learned and what Kevin and I have implemented for the last several years. Now, again, this was mostly me because it's on peak performance. This is my jam. That doesn't mean Kevin doesn't implement this stuff. He's implemented, honestly, almost all of this throughout the years, the last 3.5 years. And so if you want a world-class life and you want to have a bigger impact and you want to be more fulfilled, these are what I believe will change your life. Here's what I would say. Answer from 0 to 10. Answer honestly. You're welcome, Noel. And figure out what percentage of a world-class life you're living, and then figure out what would get you closer to 100%. And thank you so much for your time and attention. You guys are awesome. I hope this was valuable.
Fire. And as we say at the end of every episode, Bye.
Talk to you soon. Thank you so much.